women love to have sex. They're just as horny, if not more horny than men, right? But their lust is expressed in a different way. Okay. There's a reason why a lot of when men watch porn and women read it. Because for women, women still do watch it, right? It's like a 30% of like porn watchers are women, but they're more cerebral about the sex and abstract about it than just purely visual, right? Their sex drive is a little more complicated, but it's not lesser, right? And you can prove that in a bunch of different ways. Because I've had some fucking idiots try to tell me that men are more horny than women, and it's just not true. It just expresses itself more differently. And one of the best ways is like men will have sex like one time and bust and they're done, but then women will have, are down to go for like a longer time. So it's like, okay, the sexuality of men is wider, whereas the sexuality of women is deeper. But they're both, if you measure the volume, so to speak, in an abstract way, they're probably relatively equal. And so this leads me to tell you that women like having sex, so they don't mind hooking up. But for women, they don't want it to feel like a one-night stand. Now, some women are an exception and basically are men in women's bodies and are totally cool with like just racking up a bunch of bodies. But those women are in the minority. And you can have some like niche or like contextual situations where like the woman just got out of a relationship and so she's like emotionally like detached and so she just wants to like lose herself in some hedonism. That also can happen. But fundamentally, as a baseline, women don't mind hooking up as long as it doesn't feel like a cheap one-night stand. They like a higher quality steak, but they're just as hungry as men, right? I would argue that the frequency of male sexuality is sometimes a condition of desperation, not necessarily a higher sex drive, right? But women do like to fuck, and they are okay with having fast sex. They just don't want it to feel like a one-night stand. They want it to have some depth. Doesn't mean you need to love them. Doesn't mean you need to promise the world in the future to them. They just want it to feel more substantive, right? And a great example of this is my client who is messaging me right now, so you'll hear some pings. But he got laid last night. And he's trying to figure out, like, what was it that made it felt different, right? It felt like a lot of the things we've been working on with him are coming to fruition. Like, they're actually, like, having a result now, right? Because he kind of had a dry period. And that was because we were trying to fundamentally change his approach to getting laid. He was seeing getting laid as, like, a way to prove himself and getting a +1 to his notch count. But also at the same time, alternatively, like, he wasn't just accepting his sexuality as I just want to fuck, like, and it's totally okay to feel that way. Like, he was in some ways being a meathead and like, just get laid. But then in some ways he was being, too intellectual about it and too in his head. And he was seeing it as like some abstract achievement thing. He wasn't just like, hey, like, you're hot and I want to stick my dick inside of you. Like, there's a purity to that as well. Sorry if I'm coughing and my voice is still a little bit scratchy. I'm still, I'm not sick anymore, but I was sick for like 3 weeks. I think I got 2 different flus because I have a friend whose kids tested for one flu and then now they tested for another. And it felt like that to me. It felt like I got sick and then I got better and then I got sick again because the symptoms were totally different. And anyways, that's why I sound kind of off and I'll cough a little bit. So back to the fucking main point, ADHD Hector. We've been working on a lot of things with him. We've been working on him embracing his sexuality and not being ashamed of it, which is, we're combating. He comes from a sexually repressed culture and background. But at the same time, we're working on being compassionate and like paying attention to the girl and really being in tune with her emotions so that we can do better seduction, because good seduction reacts to the woman, right? Like that's how seduction works. She does this, I do this in response. But there's a difference between a mechanical, you do this, I do this because this leads me to X goal to get laid, versus I'm doing that and also on top of that, I have good intentions. Like, I want to make you feel good. Like, that's one of my goals, is to make you feel good, not just to get laid. And that results in a radically different feeling of seduction. And that's part of why when he hooked up with this girl, she said something very fascinating, and which is what inspired this video. She said, this is my first time hooking up, like having sex on the first date, but it doesn't feel like a one night stand. And so he's trying to figure out what he was doing differently, which he was doing the things we were working on, but he doesn't, and he's messaging me right now. He's kind of like, I get that I did something different. Like, I can tell you I did this, this, and this different. But what he's failing to put in words, which I'm here to explain for him, is he doesn't realize the dramatic difference it makes when you come to dating with a different intention and energy. Like, there's the mechanical aspect of dating. She says this, I say this, versus this, because if I say this, it implies that, and that's unattractive. But if I say this, it implies, like, there is mechanical truths, and I don't deny that. But those will hit different if you also have the correct intentions behind them. Attractive intentions. So attractive intentions are like, I care about the girl, right? Like I just said before. She's going to feel the difference between that and someone who's kind of just going through the motions to get laid. Like, it's you can feel it, right? And so he's doing that. He's being more patient in one sense, because he went to her place, but he waited 2 hours to make a move, which isn't a rule, right? Because someone's going to say, oh, okay, well, now I got to wait a long time to make a move. No, there's a completely different story where he had a girl come over and he should have made the move like within 5 minutes. Why? Because she was talking to him in a sexy voice. She was like, oh, yeah, yeah. And I heard it because he fucking recorded it on his Apple Watch. So, because, you know, I'm his coach and I'm trying to figure out what he's not seeing. And I'm like, dude, this girl's like so fucking horny. Like, I could hear as soon as she walked in the door, the way she's talking to him, she's like, I want to fuck. She asked him to turn on Deftones, which is like super like, let's shoot up heroin and have sex all night kind of music. It just has a sexual energy, but he doesn't feel that. He doesn't have that like intuitive sense in his mind. And also she like leaned over the couch to like look out the window, and she was like arching her back and obviously sticking out her ass. And he noticed it, but he didn't realize. Like, he's like, I clocked it. Like, I saw that it was a thing she did, but it didn't give me a bunch of confidence. Like, he just recognized it as the color red. But me, when I see the color red, I'm like a bull, and I go, you go in and you fuck, right? There's a difference between recognizing a signal and having a built-in like intuitive response to it because you believe it on an even deeper level than just like recognizing it's red. Hopefully that made sense. Excuse me. Disgusting, right? Beautiful. The peak of fucking YouTube content. Fucking hawking up a loogie on camera. Who cares? So, what he's realizing, or what I'm going to help him realize and really drive it home, is that he needs to fix his intentions and his mindsets also while doing the correct things. If you just do the correct things, it's like lifeless, hollow pickup. It can still work because at least you're doing the right things. But it's never going to have that real effect where you're like a true seducer, right? And you can tell the difference. I know because I've met a lot of the guys in this industry, and I can tell you that a lot of their behaviors feel very mechanical and lifeless, and they don't have oomph behind them. Because they don't come off like dudes who fuck, even though they, you know, they'll say they have a lay count of whatever, which, I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. But I've met guys in this industry, and they're not impressive. I'll just tell you that. Like, the majority of them are not even remotely impressive. Like, I'll meet random dudes at the clubs who I think are better than them. These guys probably have higher lay counts, but I think this guy's still technically better. Like, if you put them head to head, this guy beats him 9 out of 10 times, but this guy makes it his fucking living, right? So he's just going to execute 100 times more. So what he's stumbling upon is that him waiting 2 hours to make a move was right with this girl where it was wrong with this girl. And the fact that you're paying attention to this girl and this girl allows you to adapt to the situation. This girl wasn't comfortable yet, so you had to wait 2 hours, the one he hooked up with last night. Whereas this girl was showing obvious signs immediately. But he's the kind of guy who would have did the opposite approach. He would have waited way too long with this girl when he should have just made a move instantly. And then he probably would like bullheadedly move really fast at this girl, even though she needs more time to get comfortable. But he did this one correctly. And so that patience, that like not immediately going for sex, she sees it. Like she's with you. She's watching you. Right? Like a lot of times, like I think that guys think that it's some mental game where we're just like, okay, we got to like slide this here and slide this and say this and do this. And it's like she's sitting there watching you and experiencing you in real time. Like dating is a Soulsborne game. Like pausing does not pause. Like you have to react in real time, and she is watching you, right? And she's not some pre-scripted boss. She's like a human being with free will and is like and very complex emotions, right? And a completely different background. And you adapt to that by just experiencing her and talking to her. Like women will teach you how to seduce them. Everyone will teach you what they want, men or women. Like making friends with one person is different from making friends with a different person. Some things overlap, and that's a lot of like general rules of charisma. But really at the end of the day, human connections, whether it's like making friends or seducing, is a contextual case-by-case basis with some overlapping general rules, but more than that, it's a contextual case-by-case person, case-by-case thing. And so what was he doing differently with this girl? He waited, but when he did finally go for sex, he did it. He went for it, right? Because he's been working so hard on eliminating this shame and this guilt around sex. So he's able to just execute, right? Now, he's still not fully there. Like she said at some point, she's like, I'd like to get dominated and thrown around in bed, right? But he kind of felt hesitant to do it because she revealed that she had cancer last year and she's still in recovery. So, I'm sure her body is not, it's at its peak performance, right? So she's probably a bit frail. Like apparently after the first round of sex, she was really tired and exhausted. So he's maybe being a little bit too caring and empathetic, right? Because she literally is communicating, I like to get fucking, fucked up in bed. Like I want you to fucking spit on me and fucking slap me around. But he's caring, which is great. It's not a bad thing. He just needs to learn like when compassion is good and when girls want a beast, right? And she's kind of communicating that she wanted a beast, right? But he's at least making progress in that he's learning a little bit more when to be what. When to be a beast and when to be a nice guy, right? Whereas he was doing this before, like I said, right? And when you do this, girls feel cheap. That's what leads them to feel like, oh, he just wants sex. They're like guys are very direct with their language, and women are very implied and subcommunicative. Like when a girl says, oh, he just wants sex, guys think, oh, that means girls aren't cool with just sex. No, that's not what it means. What it means is she's adding in 3 other sentences, but she kind of just assumes that they're understood, which if you're not socially retarded, you do understand them. When a girl says he only wants sex, what she's saying is and because of that, he makes me feel cheap and it's not a good seduction and it doesn't turn me on. So therefore I don't want to fuck him. You see the difference? Because most girls would be okay with casual sex if it's high enough quality. Especially if she's a really beautiful girl, so she has a lot of choice. You're not going to turn down a really good experience for a suboptimal experience. You're always going to take the better experience, aren't you? Well, if you have that choice, like let's say you do what I do, you coach, and you charge, 20 grand. Are you going to accept someone for 500? Maybe on occasion, but that's because you're doing charity work and because this person doesn't have a lot of money. Like I took a client recently, a female client, and she really needed a lot of help. And so I took a much lower price because I wanted to help her because I saw she was in pain. I've done the same thing for guys too. I give free coaching all the time. I give free hours all the time, right? But I'm not doing that because I'm devaluing myself. I'm doing that because it's an act of charity. But sex is not an act of charity. So the point is, girls are not going to accept cheap hookups unless that's all they can afford. Or they're just like reckless hedonists and they'll just fucking take anything, right? They're just a glutton, right? But those are very rare. And so what my client did is he provided a better experience. He didn't profess wanting a relationship, didn't lead her on with anything like that. But he gave her he made her feel comfortable, made her feel safe. He made himself feel trustworthy, but also he was sexy, he was cool, he got to know her. He made her feel like a human being, but also bent her over and fucked her. And in fact, because she felt like a human being, she even wanted to be more dominated. Like, it's so funny. The more a girl feels like loved by you and cared by you, the more she'll be open to being treated like a complete piece of meat. Now, sometimes you can just be purely sexual with some girls and like totally dominate them because you're creating so much lust that they're totally cool with taking that. You don't have to go this super feely, touchy, make a big connection route all the time. Because sometimes you can be so sexy that she's just like, I'm cool with just being fucked like a piece of meat because I'm so turned on. Some girls are cool with that. But even in that case, those girls probably want it more than once. Like, if it's great, why wouldn't you want it more than once? So that's why girls don't like the idea of one night stands so much. And I've never fucked a really hot girl and thought I only want that once. Never. I've always wanted it more than once. Doesn't even make sense to me. Why wouldn't you want to fuck her more than once if she's so fucking hot? You would always want it more than once. Same thing. So there's a difference between fast intimacy and cheap intimacy. That's the point of this video. And the way that you give girls fast but meaningful intimacy is by everything that I'm talking about. Having good intentions towards her. Like, you actually care about her as a human being. You still want to fuck her raw and like come in her fucking throat and spit in her mouth and treat her like a whore. Those things aren't mutually exclusive with like caring about her as a human being. Paying attention to her and making sure if she feels comfortable and ready. If she's ready now, let's fucking go, bitch. Fucking slut, I'll fuck you in 5 minutes. But if it's like 2 hours, okay, I'll wait 2 hours. Then, okay, fucking slut, I'll fuck you now. Like, you can still go for it. You're just adapting to the person in the context. You could meet one girl and she'd fuck you in 2 hours. And then if you happen to meet her 3 months before or 3 months after, she would have fucked you in 30 minutes. All things else being equal. Your skill and your charisma and your whatever, all being equal. And you could meet her in one period of her life where like she maybe wouldn't fuck you because she's just so resistant to it. It is possible. So, understand the distinction between fast intimacy and cheap intimacy. Just take that phrase and then like listen to everything I've said in this video and go, okay, how can I give girls substantial, meaningful intimacy? It can still be fast. In fact, if you give girls experiences like this, they're more willing to have fast sex with you. If a girl takes a long time to have sex with you, more often than not, I see that as a negative. Because she should be dying to have sex. Like, her choosing not to fuck you should be such a struggle. She should be struggling not to want to put your dick in her mouth if she truly felt that strongly about you. So think about that. Think about that. And a lot of you have different things you need to work on. Like, I think all guys should be more sexual, but there's a difference between like some guys who are sexually repressed because of cultural things and some guys who are sexually repressed just because they don't realize how much women like sex. They both result in the same thing where you're not very assertive with your sexuality, but they kind of have a different prescription. Every disease needs a different treatment. Some of you treat women too much like objects. Like, you don't care what they say. You're just going through the motions so you can get laid. And some of you are way too fucking touchy-feely and emotional. And you need to be way more like just like Terminators. Like, I want to fuck. And you got to find that right balance. And the way that gets technically expressed in seductions can vary. It can be like, you talk too much, you talk too little. You don't give her enough strong eye contact, you give her too much eye contact. You don't touch her enough, you touch her too little. Or you don't touch her too much, you touch her too much. Like, you just go for it, and you're not even paying attention. You're just like spamming a move that you know works, and eventually it will work, but there's no finesse to it. There's no art to it. A lot of pickup artists are like that. They just kind of like spam moves and hope it works. And eventually it does, because they talk to enough girls, and then they call themselves an artist. It's like, you're not an artist. You spam buttons. You're never going to top 8 in Evo. Fighting game reference. So yeah. Think about it. Cheap intimacy versus fast intimacy. And what's the difference? And what's the difference between hooking up with a girl and a one-night stand, and feeling like a one-night stand, or fast sex not feeling like a one-night stand? Think about that. And you'll learn a lot of things about how seduction works. So good luck. Love you guys. Shit in my description. If you want to buy stuff, texting book, day game course. If you want to get coaching, sign up for a consultation. My coaching season is about to begin. This is when a lot of people start to sign up. So sign up. All right, bye.